Imagine a prince of the United Kingdom, once hailed as a symbol of courage, once a soldier wearing desert combat gear, once standing before millions of people sharing the story of losing his mother and his desire to live a different kind of life. And now, that very man is sliding uncontrollably into a dangerous legal abyss. Not because of a political conspiracy, not because of an external enemy, but because of years of unresolved anger and a delusional dream called half in, half out that has never become reality. Prince Harry is now facing a court case that could completely destroy what little remains of his reputation. The British media no longer use gentle language. They call him delusional. They describe him as an immature teenager throwing one big, epic tantrum. A 40-year-old man still behaving like a rebellious adolescent, refusing to accept a definitive answer from his own father. King Charles said no. The royal family said no. Yet Harry continues to attack, continues to sue, continues to believe that he has the right to be both inside and outside the institution at the same time. Meanwhile, in a completely contrasting picture, William and Catherine continue to move quietly forward. No press conferences to fight back, no emotional statements. They appear at farms, host rugby events, complete each royal duty with textbook discipline. On the 15th day of January in the year 2026, the couple appeared with calm smiles. Behind them stood a fully professional crisis public relations team, ready to handle turbulence, but absolutely refusing to be dragged into drama. So what is the real question? Does Harry still have a path back into the royal family? Or is this the final chapter for a once beloved prince? Comment number 1 if you think Harry will lose. Comment number 2 if you believe the royal family will give in. Do not forget to like and subscribe so you do not miss the next royal secrets. And now, let us dive deeper into Harry's dream of half in, half out. Why it remains nothing more than an illusion to this very day. According to information revealed by US Weekly and journalist Tom Sykes of The Royalist, in an article published on the 14th day of January in the year 2026, Prince Harry has once again revived hope of returning to the British royal family under the model he has pursued for many years, the half in, half out model. Half inside the system, half outside of it. A dream Harry believes is just enough for him to retain royal status, just enough to maintain a free life in California with Meghan and their children. But that very dream has also become the source of every major conflict. According to sources close to Harry, cited by US Weekly, his message this time is softer than in previous years, no longer confrontational in tone, no longer filled with public attacks. Instead, it takes the shape of a negotiation. Harry is willing to support royal duties when needed, to take part in representative activities, to appear during periods of staff shortages. In return, he wants official approval from King Charles for the half in, half out model, which he considers reasonable and modern. The most striking point in this proposal is a promise related to the British press. Harry commits to no longer suing the media in the United Kingdom. At first glance, this sounds like a gesture of reconciliation, but for royal watchers, it is a deeply ironic detail. In reality, Harry has sued nearly every major media group in Britain over the past several years. The lawsuits have dragged on, cost enormous sums, and caused severe tension between the palace and the press. Declaring that he will not sue anymore is almost the same as saying that he has already sued enough. In the scenario Harry envisions, he would act as a royal reserve player when the main lineup is short-staffed, when William and Catherine are overloaded, when Charles needs support. Harry would step in, but when the lights go out, when the mission ends, he would return to Montecito, back to his California mansion, back to Meghan, back to the life he consistently claims is freer and healthier. However, this very ambiguity is what deeply worries the British royal family. According to friends of Harry quoted by Tom Sykes, he genuinely misses royal life. He misses the clear structure, the hierarchy, the feeling of waking up each day knowing exactly where he belongs. Royal life gave Harry a sense of meaning that Hollywood has never provided. Yet at the same time, he remains stubbornly committed to the Montecito lifestyle, to the image of a modern husband, a father protecting his family from the media. This inner conflict has created a condition that palace sources describe as deep anxiety, a profound unease. Because the royal family understands that approving this model would set an extremely dangerous precedent. William is especially opposed, not only for personal reasons, but because of long-term vision. The Prince of Wales does not want a loose structure where members can freely enter and exit the system, enjoying royal prestige while escaping responsibility and discipline. Most striking of all is a number that makes many inside the palace shake their heads in frustration. This is already the 5th time since Megxit in the year 2020 that Harry has floated the idea of half in, half out. 5 times, 5 different approaches, sometimes through interviews, sometimes through memoirs, sometimes via anonymous sources. And every single time the response has been the same: a firm refusal, no exceptions, no compromises for King Charles. The issue is not just Harry, it is the institution itself. He understands that the monarchy survives on consistency, on personal sacrifice for a shared role. A halfway model would erode that foundation. For William, the story carries an even deeper personal weight. He watched his mother be crushed by the media. He understands the cost of living within the system. And precisely because of that, he refuses to accept that anyone should enjoy privilege without bearing responsibility. In internal discussions, palace insiders admit that the mere fact Harry continues to cling to this dream is exhausting. Because every time the idea is released, the media erupts. Public opinion fractures, and William and Catherine are left to carry the burden of cleaning up the aftermath. They are forced to remain silent, forced to keep showing up, forced to prove that the royal family continues to function steadily despite drama coming from California. The final outcome of this news cycle remains unchanged. Harry refuses to abandon the dream of half in, half out. He believes that with enough persistence, the door will eventually open. But on the other side, Charles and William have reached a united and immovable position. There will be no half and half out. There is no gray zone. Either you are fully inside, or you are completely outside. And what fascinates the public most is not the answer itself, but the silence. Why does King Charles not publicly reject this proposal to put an end to all speculation? Why does the palace allow the story to drag on? Keep watching, because next we will uncover the real reason behind this carefully calculated silence. Up to this point, King Charles has remained firm in not stepping before the public to deliver a definitive statement that the half and half out proposal of Harry will never happen. This continues even though just days before a major court hearing, Harry actively pushed the story into American media through U.S. Weekly. To many observers, that silence looks like hesitation. But to those who understand the inner workings of the royal family, it is a calculated choice. And above all, it is a decision shaped more by a father than by a monarch. The first reason is deeply personal. King Charles still loves his youngest son. Despite a relationship worn down over many years, despite interviews, memoirs, and lawsuits that have caused him pain, Charles does not want to ignite a new public battle. A source close to the king describes his mindset clearly. He does not want fighting to start again. He does not want to repeat the old cycle. Each time Harry releases a story, the palace responds. The media explodes, and in the end, nothing changes except deeper damage to the family. Charles understands something Queen Elizabeth once grasped firmly. Harry and Meghan are not afraid of the media. They thrive on it. Each public confrontation gives the couple more space to tell their story, to shape a victim narrative, to attract global attention. The Queen handled Megxit in a very characteristic way. She wished them well abroad. She did not escalate. She did not argue. She did not seek victory. Charles is following that same path, at least in strategic terms. The second reason lies in the complex role of the media. In the days following the U.S. Weekly article, newspapers across the United States and Britain republished the story with a tone suggesting Harry was genuinely negotiating with the royal family. Headlines were framed to imply possibility: Harry ready to return, the royal family considering, Charles facing a difficult choice. All of this created the illusion of a two-way process, while in reality the palace position has never shifted. Mainstream media lap it up. They consume every detail, every rumor, every anonymous source. Each year, hundreds of similar articles appear, from tabloids like Daily Mail to platforms considered more serious such as BBC. The articles repeat the same pattern. Harry wants to return. The royal family considers. William worries. Catherine remains silent. This continuous news cycle has inadvertently fueled the prolonged tantrum of Harry. Instead of questioning the narrative, the media often chooses to amplify it. Instead of analyzing the impossibility of the half-in, half-out model, they present it as an option under discussion. This places significant pressure on the royal family. Each time Charles stays silent, that silence is interpreted as a signal, a crack, a chance for compromise, and Harry continues to believe he only needs to push a little harder. In the eyes of many within the palace, this behavior is no different from that of an immature teenager, refusing to hear the answer, refusing to accept limits, always believing that if he speaks loudly enough and long enough, everything will change. But the issue is not only Harry. The media acts as a dangerous catalyst. They enable this madness, not out of malice, but because of content demand, because of views, because royal stories always sell. That is why Charles chooses silence. Not because he is wavering, but because he understands that a public rejection would not end the story. It would only open a new spiral. With counterattacks, with follow-up interviews, with more accusations and pain exposed before the public. Silence here is the only way to avoid adding fuel to an already burning fire. While Harry continues to create drama from California, pushing the story into headlines, believing he is fighting for personal justice. On the other side, William and Catherine choose a completely different path. No back and forth, no hidden messages, no self-justification. They focus on real work, concrete duties, quiet visits, responsibilities that are not flashy but steady. And that is exactly what comes next in this story, where we see how the real royal family actually operates. William and Catherine, in the middle days of January in the year 2026, did what they have always done best. They flooded the zone with a very British keep calm and carry on spirit. No rebuttals, no explanations, no getting dragged into the chaos coming from California. While Harry continued to generate headlines, William and Catherine quietly filled the media with images of stability, of responsibility, and of a royal family that is genuinely working. On the 15th day of January, Prince William appeared at Bridge End Farm in Herefordshire, a 190-acre farm owned by the Bowler family. No red carpet, no elaborate protocol, just light rain, muddy ground, and the smell of wet grass. William rolled up his sleeves, took part in pruning old apple trees, fed sheep, rebuilt wooden fences knocked down after winter, images that felt real, far from palace walls, yet deeply close to ordinary people. This visit was not symbolic theater. William came in his role as patron of We Are Farming Minds, an organization he officially began supporting in the year 2025. Its mission is to support mental health within the farming community, a group often overlooked. Financial pressure, harsh weather, social isolation, all of this pushes thousands of British farmers into mental health crises each year. William became the first senior royal to speak forcefully about this issue, not through hollow speeches, but through concrete action, funding counseling, supporting a 24/7 helpline, and holding direct face-to-face conversations. The most endearing moment came naturally. William, wearing an old flat cap, stood talking for dozens of minutes with a 92-year-old woman who lives near the farm. No cameras intruding, no script. Just two people talking about crops, weather, and life. It was the image of a future king many Britons hope for. Approachable, listening, not distant. That same day at Windsor Castle, Catherine carried out her first solo engagement of the year, 2026. A reception for the England women rugby team, the Red Roses. World Cup champions after their 33-13 victory the previous September. Catherine appeared in a red Alexander McQueen suit, bold yet refined. She drove herself to the event, held an umbrella as she crossed the courtyard in light rain. A kind of effortless glamour, not showy, but impossible to ignore. The reception was warm and relaxed. Catherine guided the players through the castle, admired the trophy, accepted a signed team jersey, but what delighted the media most were her everyday remarks. Catherine laughed and said she did not want George tackling her at home. She shared that Charlotte loves playing rugby, that Louis is currently involved in rugby tots. Small stories, but carrying a big message. Rugby is a sport for every girl, with no barriers, no prejudice. With Catherine, people always see a rare balance between royal discipline and family warmth. She does not speak about female empowerment. She embodies it through presence, through support, by allowing young girls to see a confident and relatable role model. This is the kind of soft power the monarchy needs in the 21st century. When these images are placed beside Harry's story, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. On one side is steady work, a chain of responsibilities, trust built day by day. On the other are statements, unfinished dreams, and prolonged legal battles. Harry and Meghan served as full-time working royals for only a very short period. Meghan even carried out fewer engagements than Catherine did during her very first tour after joining the royal family. And then they left, carrying resentment, but not a foundation. Now, looking back, many observers describe Harry and Meghan as an inkblot in history, a splash of ink, eye-catching for a moment, but unable to shape the long-term flow. The monarchy does not need them to survive. And as William and Catherine are proving, this institution can be stronger than ever when it focuses on its true role. William and Catherine do not need to say they are the future. They are living it. Through each visit, each conversation, each smile in the rain. And while the public remains absorbed in the drama of Harry, another storm is quietly forming. Not in headlines, but inside the High Court, where Harry's lawsuit may reach its climax and may destroy everything he has left. Prince Harry is preparing to return to the United Kingdom for a court case that many lawyers describe as the moment that will decide the fate of his reputation. This is not an ordinary lawsuit. It is a do-or-die gamble. The trial against Associated Newspapers Limited, the media group that owns the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, officially begins on the 19th day of January in the year 2026. Harry is expected to give evidence in person around the 23rd day of January. But even before the trial formally opens, what unfolded during the two-day pre-trial hearing on the 15th and 16th days of January has already sent shockwaves through public opinion. On the surface, this is a civil case involving allegations of unlawful information gathering, phone tapping, and invasion of privacy. But for Harry, this is a deeply personal battle. He sees it as a final opportunity to prove that the British press destroyed him, that he is a victim, that everything he has been saying for years is true. But a courtroom is not a podcast, not a documentary, and not a memoir. The greatest risk for Harry does not lie in the final verdict. It lies in the process of cross-examination. He will be questioned relentlessly by lawyers for Associated Newspapers. Every small detail of his memory, every timeline, every past statement in interviews, every passage in his memoir, Spare. Any inconsistency can be magnified. Any uncertain answer can be fully exploited. Under the British legal system, if a witness is proven to have given false testimony, even on a single material point, they can face allegations of perjury, lying under oath. This is not merely a legal defeat, it is a total collapse of credibility. And for Harry, still the son of the king, still within the line of succession, the cost is far higher than it would be for an ordinary citizen. What worries many legal experts is Harry's style. He often speaks from emotion, from personal memory, from subjective belief. But a courtroom operates on documents, emails, records, hard evidence, and legal logic. There is no room for feelings of being hurt, no room for speculation. From the outset, Associated Newspapers made its position clear. There would be no compromise, no plan for settlement. In sharp contrast to News UK and previous cases, the Daily Mail intends to fight to the end. They believe that if the case is fully exposed, the public will see a very different picture from the story Harry has told for years. And that is only the surface, because what emerged next during the pretrial hearing pushed this case into an entirely different territory. The focus of the hearing unexpectedly shifted to a name that few outside legal circles had paid attention to before. Gavin Burrows, a former private investigator, previously regarded as a key witness in Harry's case. In court documents submitted since the year 2021, Burrows was said to have testified that he had carried out illegal acts such as planting listening devices in vehicles, surveillance, and phone hacking at the request of newspapers. That testimony had been considered a crucial foundation for proving that the Daily Mail not only knew about, but directly benefited from unlawful activities. But at the hearing, Burrows suddenly denied almost everything. He declared that the witness statement bearing his name was forged, prepared without his full knowledge or genuine consent. The allegation landed like a bomb in the courtroom. If true, it would not only weaken the case, it would raise serious questions about the integrity of the team behind Harry. Burrows stated that the signature on the document did not reflect his true intent, and that many statements attributed to him were inaccurate. It did not stop there. Burrows went on to make an even more serious claim. He alleged that he had been intimidated, pressured through articles and contacts linked to Byline Times, a media outlet known for its close association with campaigns against tabloid journalism. According to Burrows, these contacts occurred just before the trial, leaving him fearful for his personal safety. Burrows said he is dealing with health issues and requested permission to testify remotely from outside the country. He described the entire situation as a blatant attempt to intimidate me. This allegation was immediately seized upon by Associated Newspapers. The Daily Mail side struck back with a series of serious allegations. Fraud, dishonesty, conspiracy. They accused the claimant side of paying witnesses, staging testimony, and misrepresenting facts before the court. If these allegations are proven, the entire case could shift direction completely. Other controversial names have also begun to surface. Graham Johnson, a former journalist who was once convicted of phone hacking during the News of the World era, now a familiar figure associated with Hacked Off and Byline. Jonathan Rees, a private investigator previously involved in major scandals. Both names are mentioned in the rebuttal filings, and one by one, individuals have begun to withdraw or deny earlier statements. Piece by piece, the puzzle is falling apart, and the lawsuit is beginning to reveal dangerous cracks. The financial scale of the case has left many observers stunned. The estimated value is around £38 million. The trial is expected to last 9 weeks, an enormous figure for what is fundamentally a personal lawsuit. And what stands out most is that Harry appears willing to go all the way. Despite the risks, despite the warnings, in the eyes of many commentators, Harry is aligning himself with figures who have previously been convicted, in a battle that looks more like revenge than justice. One phrase is circulating among British legal circles. Harry is rolling in the mud with pigs. Uncomfortable as it sounds, it reflects the reality. Once he stepped into this arena, Harry no longer occupies the moral high ground he believes he holds. Associated Newspapers appears completely different from Harry's previous legal opponents. They do not want compromise. They do not want a last-minute settlement. They want everything brought into the open, and they believe that transparency will work in their favor. For the royal family, this represents a quiet but profound embarrassment. King Charles and Prince William are said to be deeply concerned, not because they support the press, but because they understand the long-term consequences. A prince subjected to aggressive questioning in court, his honesty placed under suspicion, his name linked to allegations of deceit, leaves a scar not only on him as an individual, but on the institution itself. The most alarming part is that Harry appears not to grasp the level of danger. He still believes he is standing on the right side of history, that he is the one brave enough to challenge media power. But a courtroom does not operate on emotion. It operates on evidence, and that absolute confidence may become his fatal weakness. The day Harry takes the witness stand could be the worst day of his public life. No final verdict is required, just the image alone. A prince struggling, his words dissected, his memories examined, every detail exposed. If contradictions are laid bare, if testimony is shown to be inconsistent, Harry's reputation could collapse right there in the courtroom. And when the doors of the High Court close, one major question remains. After everything, what does this battle say about Harry, about Meghan, and about the path they have chosen? The British royal family now stands at two completely opposite paths, and the contrast has never been clearer. On one side is Prince Harry, still trapped in the illusion of half in, half out, still believing he has the right to abandon duty while demanding privilege. On the other side are William and Catherine, quietly working, not complaining, not causing upheaval, and steadily reinforcing public trust through action. Harry in this story is no longer the tragic, rebellious prince of years past. What we see is a grown man repeatedly throwing performative tantrums, from interviews, memoirs, documentaries, to the Daily Mail lawsuit. Every move revolves around a single goal, forcing the system to recognize a role he himself walked away from. The problem is that the system no longer needs him. While Harry continues to sink into risky legal battles, William and Catherine are building a modern monarchy for the 21st century. No spectacle, no hypocrisy, no theatrics. William appears in wind and rain at a remote farm, listening to quiet stories about farmer mental health. Catherine walks into Windsor Castle with confidence and warmth, connecting sport, family, and the younger generation. They do not need to say they are the future of the monarchy. The public can see it for themselves. The lawsuit against Associated Newspapers therefore becomes an extremely dangerous gamble for Harry. Allegations of witness intimidation, dishonesty, and even collusion do not just threaten the legal outcome. They threaten what remains of his reputation. This is no longer a story about press intrusion. It is a question of integrity, of how a Prince of England chooses who to stand beside in pursuit of a personal crusade. More troubling still, media platforms and organizations such as Byline Times continue to fuel that illusion. Instead of acting as independent critics, they become amplifiers of emotion, reinforcing the belief that Harry is always the ultimate victim and that any challenge is a conspiracy. When media loses the necessary distance, truth becomes the easiest thing to distort. All of this places the British royal family in an impossible position. No one wishes to see the son of the king exposed in court to questions of truth and falsehood. But the modern monarchy cannot and should not intervene. An institution can only survive if it stands under the law, not above it. If the trial unfolds under the worst possible scenario, Harry's reputation could be destroyed beyond repair. Not because he loses the case, but because he exposes himself to public scrutiny in a way he can no longer control. And the most bitter realization may be that the monarchy continues to function smoothly without him. Looking more broadly, the story of Harry and Meghan reveals a cold truth. In the long flow of history, Individuals only matter when they are tied to responsibility. When they separate themselves from the structure yet still demand recognition, they fade or become irrelevant. The British monarchy today is not perfect, but it is clearly stronger, more stable, and more focused with William and Catherine at its center. And that is the final message of this video. The British monarchy remains standing. Anger, lawsuits, and personal illusions will pass. History remembers builders, not those who only seek to tear things apart. And what do you think? Is Harry fighting for justice or destroying himself? Comment number 1 or number 2 as mentioned at the start of the video. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and follow Substack and Spotify for daily updates on the trial. Thank you for watching until the very end, and see you again in the upcoming special video on the trial that is shaking all of Britain.